Hey, today we're going to look at some types of strong evidence. Just in review, we've been talking about persuasion and argument. And so argument is made up of a claim, which is the author's idea, opinion, and then the claim is supported by some type of evidence. And we're going to look at the strong types of evidence. First strong piece of evidence that you can use is a fact. It's a statement that can be proven true. And if you're not really sure, you need to look it up. And you need to make sure that you're using reliable sources. You see, in this picture, the guy obviously is in a library and he's looking up books. But today, a lot of us go online to find facts and sources. But you have to be really careful that the website that you're using is actually true. Because we all know that anybody can create a website and put it up online. And you can have stuff online that's, not true. So be really diligent about checking your sources. Okay, so the other kind is a quotation. And it's really good if you use a quotation by someone who's believed to be an expert in whatever it is that you're talking about. So if you see this picture, he's obviously a doctor. So I would use anything that he said in an article about something medical related. Like, let's say the article was about whether or not we should get a flu shot every year. Well, I would use quotes by this particular person because he is a doctor and he's supposed to know more about flu shots and medicine than I do or your neighbor does. So he would be considered an expert opinion. Okay, another piece of strong evidence is an example. An example is a specific instance that illustrates a general idea. Sometimes your examples are called case studies. So like in science and research, they do case studies. They look at people over a long period of time to find out what happened to them, how did they react to certain medications, and then they report on that. So that example of what happened to people who took medication for 10 years, that whole study that was done would be used as an example to back up someone's claim. All right, then the next really strong one to use is statistic, and notice I underline number form. It is a fact given in number form. So 25%, 4 out of 5 doctors surveyed said. That would be an example of a statistic. Some particular articles use charts and graphs and things like that to help support whatever their claim is. And then a third type over here is anecdote, which is kind of like a story. It's a brief account of an event that can be used to illustrate your reason of why you need a cell phone. Something that happened to someone and they were so glad that they had their phone and they could call their mom. So it's a little short story about a person or a group of people to prove your point. Okay, so here we have 3 types of evidence. Okay, so here's the claim. Clean Up laundry detergent is the best detergent on the market. Here's a reason. Clean Up laundry detergent can handle tough stains better than any other leading brand. That's their reason. So here are the ways they're going to back up that reason. I want you to read all 3 boxes and figure out, is it an anecdote, a statistic, a fact, or a quotation? I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and then I want you to read it. Okay, hopefully you took the time to sit and pause it and sit and read it. So we're going to look at a few key things first. Let's look at this one. This one, I would underline 75%. That would be a clue. This one, I'd underline this part. Do you know why? And then I'm going to underline this part. That's a clue. It's not really anything, a clue in here, other than I would underline that maybe. So why did I underline those things? What does it show? Okay, let's go to the next page. Did you get it? I underlined 75% because that's numbers. That should have been a clue that it was a statistic. And this one, I underlined the first part of it. You see the opening quotation marks, and then I underlined this where it says, Ava Robbins says. That's your clue that it's a quote. And then over here, I underlined was strolling outside in her white linen dress. That's obviously the beginning of a story, so that's an anecdote. Did you get it right? I hope. Okay. So looking at this page, we can see that an argument has evidence supporting a particular position may include logical appeal. So in an argument, you've got a claim and you've got support in the form of evidence. If you're using logical appeals, you're using a statement of factual evidence. And good factual evidence makes people really believe you. You give an impression of sound reasoning. It's more convincing, especially to an intelligent audience. But there's also these things called emotional appeal. It's a message that creates strong feeling to make a point. It makes you feel sorry for someone, or it makes you sad. It makes you have an emotional feeling. And so it might be a negative feeling. Maybe it makes you scared. But it uses your emotions to tap into something to motivate you to believe or to do or to buy. When used with logical appeals, these emotional appeals can be very effective. But you would never want to have your claims supported by two of these and only one piece of logical evidence. It's much more convincing if you have two pieces of logical evidence and one piece of emotional evidence. So you've got logical appeal and emotional appeal. Both are effective when used correctly. Okay, so look at this page. It's got three different statements in a box in the middle. So read each statement and figure out, you think it's a logical appeal or do you think it's an emotional appeal? Look at some of the clue words. So go ahead and pause the video now and read them. Okay, so we're back and you're looking at them, and let's look. A sickening, oh, that's a clue word right there. A sickening number of stray dogs are put to death in animal pounds each year. Stray dogs do not have owners to make sure they are fed and groomed. We have better things to do than worry about stray dogs. So, those are some clues that I underlined right there. Let's take a look. Did you get that? Stray dogs do not have owners to make sure that they are fed and groomed. That's just a fact. It's just a piece of logic. Now, the sickening, put to death, have better things to do, those are all things that appeal to our emotions. So that's why those two are emotional appeals. So for the logical appeal, we talked about strong pieces of evidence that you can use in your papers. And we also talked about emotional appeals that kind of tap into our emotions and make us feel something. And those can be effective. So you've got logic, which are facts, statistics, examples, anecdotes, and then you have an emotional appeal that appeals to people's emotions. So those are two things that we talked about today.